Hi guys, my name is Madeline from Jar and Fern, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a kokedama. Kokedama were invented in Japan, and the word literally means moss ball in Japanese. So koki means moss and dama means ball. They invented around the same time as bonsai, and if you can see in the picture here, sometimes they had them sitting on saucers and sometimes they had them hanging up. So that's something we're going to talk to you about today. If you have lots of kokedama, it's also known as a string garden. So if you get totally obsessed with making them and you end up making loads, you can have your own string garden at home. So just to talk you through the equipment you're going to need today, pretty much everything's included in your kit, but the extra things you'll need is a large bowl or saucepan. You can use a washing up bucket, anything that can hold your soil. You're going to need a spoon, and that's just for stirring with. You'll also need 350 millilitres of water, so don't worry if you don't have a measuring jug. It's a small cup about that size, and then 1 cup and a half, and that's about 350 millilitres. You might also want some scissors as well to cut your string. So I've just got everything laid out in front of me. The things that come with your kit, you got your bag of soil, and this is houseplant compost. It's enough for 2 kokedama, so you can keep them both yourselves, or it's enough to give one to a friend as well. You've then also got 2 bags of moss, so each bag of moss is for each individual kokedama. This might come as one whole sheet, or it might come in separate pieces. Don't worry about that, we're going to attach it with string, so whichever one you have in there is great. You'll also get 2 pieces of brown twine, so these are for wrapping up at the end. You get the clear nylon thread, which is what we're going to use to attach the moss to your kokedama. When you get this, you might notice that your thread's attached still, so you just have to have a look at the roll, and if there's a little loop, you can just unhook it. Get that ready before you start making, because it's a bit tricky once you've got started. You'll then also have a couple of plants, so you're likely to have either asparagus fern, so like this one here, or a Areca palm, so this one's a bit more of a tall palm, and then you will also have an ivy. So every kit comes with ivy, and then you'll either get a Areca palm or asparagus fern. You'll also get some brown paper in your kit. That's what we've used to package it, but it also makes a great place to rest your kokedama on while you're making them. So you might want to lie that out before you get started as well. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do when you're making your kokedama is you want to take your bag of soil and empty it out straight into your bowl. So you just want to pour the whole lot in. Once you've got it in place, you're then going to add your water. So you just want to pour that straight over and in there. Now at this point we're going to make a little bit of a mud pie in there. So you'll notice as I'm stirring it, it's starting to come together. So you want to keep stirring until you feel like most of the soil has been mixed with the water and it's starting to stick together as well. So you might need to do this for a little while. If at this stage it's feeling like you can still see quite a lot of the soil that's not wet, you might want to add a little bit of extra water. But really go on the side of adding a really tiny amount, because obviously if you add a lot you can drown your soil and then it's more difficult to change it back. So now that I'm starting to get clumps in here, I'm just going to separate this soil down the middle so that I have 2 halves in there. It doesn't need to be exact, just a rough guide for that. Okay, so once you've separated your soil into 2 equal parts like that, you're going to get your hands in there. So it will get a little bit muddy. What you're going to do is bring together each half until you can make one ball. It doesn't have to be perfect, so you might notice little crumbs coming off, but the main thing you want is for it to stick together. So I'm going to get my hands in there, and you're just going to start squeezing like this. And just keep adding your half of the soil until the ball is nice and round and you've used pretty much all of it. That's straight down on your brown paper, and then you're going to do exactly the same with the other half. So again, if you're finding it's not sticking together very well, you're having to squeeze it really firmly, you might want to add a tiny bit more water. If you're squeezing it and you're noticing lots of water running out, you might have a little bit much, so just give it a really firm squeeze to get a little bit of the extra stuff out. You can see I'm not having to use much force to get this to stick together. And then once you've added pretty much all your soil, you can just pop that down on there. You're then going to take your first ball and pick it up, and you're going to hold it on either side like that and just break it straight down the middle. As you can see, I've got 2 separate pieces there now. I'm going to put one down on here and then take my first plant. So to begin with, to show you, I'll start with this little asparagus fern. I'm going to lay it on top, and I want to make sure all these roots are inside the soil ball, so you might have to tuck them around a little bit. Once you're happy with that, you're then going to grab the other half and stick it back on. So basically making the same mud ball that you started with. So again, you just need to start squeezing and get it to the point where it's stuck together. If there's any little roots that are sticking out as well, you can just squeeze those back in. And if any bits of soil drop off, you can just grab them again and just squeeze it back on. So just make sure all the roots are covered and you have a nice ball. So you can see there now your Kokedama is starting to take shape. I'm going to do the same thing with my other ball as well. So split it in half, hold it on either side. It sounds complicated, but it's actually quite easy. And then I'm going to grab my second plant, so I'm going to go with this ivy. So again, lay them on here. You want to make sure none of the little leaves are trapped inside the ball, so just have them slightly above the soil. And then again, tuck the roots in. Grab the soil back on. Mine's crumbled a little bit, so I'm just going to give it another squeeze to make sure it's all nice and stuck together. So again, just work your way around, tucking the roots in and making sure your plants are nice and encased in there. You then want to unpack your moss, so you just want to pop the bags open and get the moss out. And you'll notice there's a side of it that doesn't look as nice. So you've got this kind of green side and then the other side is brown. So you want to have that facing you on the table. So just unwrap it. You can see I've got several pieces here. So I just want to pop it together like that. And then I'm going to repeat it with the other piece as well. So do the same thing again. So I'm going to take my first one and sit it right in the middle of this moss. So just like that. And then the same again with my second one. So just sit it down. Once you've got them sitting on your moss, you then want to grab this clear thread. So this is what you're going to use to attach all the moss onto your Kokedama. It's really good for this because it's see-through, so you can use as much as you want and get a really good shape without it looking all bulky. So I'm going to take this moss and just start wrapping it up around my Kokedama to the point where I can't really see any of the soil. So you're just going to fold it all the way around like that. If you have any spots like this one here, so I've got a little chunk, I'm just going to steal a little bit off this one here just to patch it up. So just pop that on there. And then you're going to grab your thread. So you want to take this and get the loose end, so the bit you separated out earlier, just like that. And you're going to lay it on top of your Kokedama, hold it down with your thumb, and then start wrapping. So for the first few wraps, it's going to be a bit fiddly and look a little bit awkward, but keep going with it. You'll notice the moss starts to stick quite quickly. Once you've done a few wraps, you can then lift it up and check it out at eye level. It's a bit easy to see if you're making a nice ball shape. So I've been wrapping this Kokedama all over with this clear thread, and you can see now it's starting to come together in a really nice ball shape. So you just want to make sure you've got the moss at the top attached as well. So make sure you don't go straight through the plant. Try and go either side of it, but get fairly close. And if you have any big bits like this little log thing here, you want to just pull that out as well. So when you're happy with the shape, you can then either snap this off or cut it with scissors. It's very easy to break. So the next bit we're going to do is adding the brown string to Kokedama. So this makes a little bit of a pattern on the outside, and it also provides a way that you can create a handle to hang it up. You want to think about whether you're going to hang it. So if you're going to hang it up, you want somewhere with good natural light, so it's going to get some indirect light but not hot sunlight, and it also wants to be somewhere where you can easily take it down to water it. If you hang it up, when you water it, you're going to then need to leave it to drain for a little bit before you hang it up, just so it doesn't drip. If you're thinking to keep it on a saucer, so literally sitting on a saucer all the time, you can make your brown string pattern, but you don't need to make a handle. You want to take your string and just leave a little bit about that sort of length, and just pop this right at the top of your Kokedama and hold it down firmly with your thumb. Then from there, you're just going to start going right the way under and then back up and over across that little piece you left there. So once that's held down, you can let go with your thumb and then just carry on crisscrossing across. So I like to make quite a basic star shape, and just make sure each one is nice and firm, especially if you're going to hang it, because these will be attaching the handle as well. So I'm going to go back under, and then you want to bring this back up when you're happy with your pattern to the point where this little loose end is here. And then I'm just going to double knot these together. So this little bit here is going to attach tightly onto the bit you just brought round. So once you've knotted it twice and it feels nice and secure, you can then think about how long a handle you want. If I wanted it a bit shorter, I just adjust it. So just measure it down to your Kokedama, so something like that. and then you just want to cut the extra bit off. So I'm going to bring this end over to the other side to a nice strong wrap I've done, and again just knot it on there as well. So there you go. And then just to show you with the other one, if I was thinking to just sit it on a saucer, it's the same thing again. So just take the loose end, hold it down, and then wrap under and straight across, holding down that first one you did, and then crossing over your kokedama. Then I'm going to bring these two ends up here, again knot them together nice and tightly. And when that's attached, you can then cut off both loose ends. So just cut that one there and that one there, making sure you don't cut through your knot. And then that's ready to just sit on a saucer there. So you can see your two little kokedama. So if you get completely obsessed with making kokedama and you want to create a whole string garden, there's quite a few different plants you can use. It's best to go with things that like the same conditions as the moss. So quite a shady spot, they like to be fairly damp. So lots of houseplants are good. You can use things like ferns, there's ivy and fern like we've used here. You can use the calathea or areca palm, so lots of different things to try. It's always worth giving it a go, and if they don't really like it, you can always take them back out again. The main things to watch out for is if your kokedama ends up in really bright hot sun, it can cause the moss to fade and go a bit pale, so you really want to watch out for that. So make sure it's in a nice shady spot where the hot sun isn't hitting it. If you think about where moss lives, usually it's at the bottom of a forest floor, so it's not getting a lot of sunlight coming through there. And then when you're ready to water them, the best way to tell is just to pick them up and see how heavy they feel. If you feel your kokedama the way it is now, it feels quite heavy, and once the water starts evaporating, it'll really change in weight. So if it's starting to feel really light or the moss is looking quite faded, you want to take the whole thing and just dunk it in some water. So I find it best to fill up a sink and then just pop it in. Hold it under for a little bit just to make sure the water's got inside your kokedama and it's nice and moist. And then if you have it sitting on a saucer like this one, you can literally sit it back on your saucer just to suck up any water that comes out. If you're going to hang it up, you just want to leave it on the sink side for a while just to drain off. You can also just lift it up and you'll notice if there's little drips coming out of it still. So don't hang it up until they're gone. In summertime, it's roughly once a week you'll need to do this. During winter, it's a lot less, so go with the weight for that one, see how heavy it's feeling. If things start to get really long or too traily, you can just prune them. So things like the ivy, you can just cut down to the nearest healthy leaf joint. And then with the fern, you can just take extra fronds out as well.